It's now my pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker for this morning. He's a true pioneer in public education and has an astounding 40-year career working for students and has been pivotal in California's charter school movement, Mr. Don Shalvey. Don is currently the Deputy Director for the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, leading the education grant making in states, districts, and networks throughout the United States. Prior to joining the foundation, he was the founder and CEO of Aspire Public Schools. In 1992, Don served as the superintendent of the San Carlos School District, where he authorized the first charter school in California, the San Carlos Learning Center. In 1998, Don and entrepreneur Reed Hastings co-founded Californians for Public School Excellence, a grassroots organization which led the passage of the Charter Schools Act of 1998, which lifted the cap on the number of charter schools in California. In 2006, Don received the James Irvine Foundation Leadership Award for advancing the quality of life of Californians. And in June 2009, he was elected to the Charter School Hall of Fame by the National Alliance for Public Charter Schools. He currently serves as the chair of the California Commission for Special Education and is the board member of many nonprofit organizations, including our own, the California Charter Schools Association. Help me give a warm welcome to Mr. Don Shalvey.
Good morning, and let's talk about the talented singers in the Thomas. Is there some talent in the Thomas? Amazing. That is really amazing. Laura, thank you. Good morning to all of you, colleagues and friends. I am humbled to be here in your presence because all of you are doing so much to change the opportunity equation for every youngster in the state. So we're all aware of how important collecting data is. So I'd like to collect a little data myself. Could you raise your hand if you entered kindergarten as a student after 1966? Great. 1966 was the year the Baltimore Orioles won the World Series, the Beatles just came to this country, The Sound of Music won Picture of the Year, the first Star Trek episode was shown on television, and I started my teaching career as a middle school teacher in Merced. So, I guess now, as then, I think the identical sentiments to describe how I feel are sort of best conveyed by Elliot Garfield. And Elliot Garfield is the main character in Neil Simon's The Goodbye Girl. And he laments to Paula saying, there's only one thing worse than a hopeless romantic, and that's a hopeful one. And some 43 years since I started my career in this wonderful state, I remain a hopeful romantic about public education. So I want to look at some additional data. So I'm going to ask you to raise your hands again. Can you raise your hand if you've been working in a charter school or charter organization for 3 years or more? Will you keep them up if you've been working in that charter organization or the charter movement since 2000? Would you keep them up if you've been working in a charter organization since 1995? So I want to congratulate all of you for a relentless, absolutely relentless piece. So consider our history and our place in this nation's education community. In 1992, when as a school district superintendent, I was part of creating California's first charter school. The critics labeled charters as outrageous and a fad. And then in 1997, when a number of us who were in this room took the courage to take on the initiative process and a proposition to lift the caps so that California's kids could have choice between not just a couple of schools, not just 100 schools, but an unlimited number of schools, the critics said we had gone from outrageous to ambitious. And now, some 18 years into this work in California, all of us have gone from outrageous to ambitious to significant. Significance not only in the numbers of schools and students served, but our ability to do the common thing uncommonly well, and the uncommon thing so well that kids will have college and post-secondary success not only as a dream, but a reality. We rank at the top of every state in the nation in numbers of charter schools and percentage of students in charter schools served in this state. But this is a different picture. This is a picture of a lottery in one of your schools. Nearly 800 parents were inside this gymnasium because hundreds of their children were in a lottery for 8 slots. Let me repeat that again. Hundreds of children were competing for 8 slots. And they're not alone. In 2007, there were nearly 350,000 students in this country on charter wait lists. That's why the photograph is so upsetting. That's why I'm leaving it up here for a while, because it's a reminder of how much aspiration is out there with our youth. An aspiration that without a great education might not translate to achievement. It just won't happen. And our goal as a group of education pioneers is to change that. Our goal is to be disruptive in the interest of youth so that lotteries are eliminated because thank you. Because when we put a quality school and a quality classroom and a quality teacher in more and more places in this state, our economy and our citizenry will change. That's what we have to accomplish. That's our job. And the one thing I know, that in this room, we are the past, the present, and most importantly, the future of children and the economy in the state. And the major reason I'm so hopeful about this work is because of all of you. No segment of this wonderful and dignifying profession of teaching is more robust, more creative, more innovative than California's charter public schools, and you, the talented educators who make it so vibrant. So no matter when you join this effort, you make a difference. Whether it was 2 days, 2 weeks, 2 years, 2 decades ago, every one of you matters. No matter what the role you play, it's important. And as some of you know, it's why I'm so glad Natoma started, I am a former disc jockey in another life. And I think the Lennon and McCartney theme holds true for all of us. We get by with a little help from our friends. And all of us are friends in this work. And I want to introduce you to some other friends of this movement. There they are. All right? So I think you recognize a bunch of them. It's the Beatles, it's Bruce Springsteen, it's Bob Dylan. And why are they part of our community? Because they are the answers to a question I ask most of you when I meet you. And that question is, what's the name of a song whose title or a lyric symbolize the California Charter School Movement? And there's some of the answers. There they are. The times are changing. Welcome to the jungle if you just got here. And what I know about my favorite song in the Storyville is Who's Left Standing? It's going to be all of us and the kids whose futures we change. I am so blessed to know this work as a superintendent, a founder of an independent charter, and a co-founder of a charter management organization. All of it has given me a sense of place and perspective. So I want to share a little bit with you. As a superintendent, I don't think there is a superintendent in the state who gets up in the morning and says, how can I mess kids' lives up? We just don't do that. On the other hand, my perspective as a charter leader has been that all of us are faced with the challenge of making something from nothing. A blank canvas has so much potential. Where to begin, where to stop, where to put color, where to put texture, that's what we are doing. And last June, after 43 years as a California public educator, I began a new effort. I had the privilege of going to become the deputy director at the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. I am honored to bring my charter experience, my passion and advocacy to the foundation, and see my appointment in Seattle as symbolic of the role the foundation believes charter public schools play in this country, and the innovation that you can provide for this next generation of leaders who will grow from your schools. I'm happy to be known as the charter guy in Seattle. Our work in charters is more about supporting your schools as proof points of performance and innovation and culture. Why are we so aligned with your work? It's because our vision is the same. By 2025, we want to see 80% of the kids in this country graduate from high school college ready to do what they love and earn what they need. And by college ready, we mean no remediation. Because when your youngsters enter college without the need to take a remedial class, it means all the difference in the world. So I want to basically begin to tell you why I think charter schools may be the best and hopefully not the only hope for youth in this state. It's because your boards are selfless governors. They oversee your work. We know this from talking with charter boards of directors, that they have no self-interest. They have the interest of the children. You are the kayaks of public education. You are nimble. You know how to spin on a dime. You know how to adapt and adjust. There's momentum feeling. You can feel it in this room. You can feel it in what Jed and his team have put together. And as I get to travel across the country to other places where there are significant charters as incubators, you feel that momentum as well. No one understands persistence or resilience like all of you. And no one believes in accountable behavior any more than all of you sitting in this room. What's it going to take? We have to learn to compete and compete well. We have to learn to cooperate. Even Apple and Microsoft have learned to talk, even though we don't have iPhones in Seattle. At least I don't. I definitely don't. We have to learn to be part of a portfolio. We have to see ourselves as purposeful test kitchens for what the future will bring. And we have to focus on results and teacher quality. In closing, I'd like to share my feelings for all of you and say that charter public schools in California are significant and essential to our democracy. They are the workshops where youth is served with uncanny care and innovation thrives. So perhaps the best tribute I can give to you is a letter I got last spring from Aurora Whitbread, an 8th grade student at Cal Prep, a charter school. As I show you Aurora's letter, I want you to know that she is one of hundreds of thousands of Auroras who are in charter schools across this country. Dear Dr. Shalvey, throughout my stay at Cal Prep, I've noticed many unusual and frightening things. Teachers that actually care, students that stand up for each other, and an extremely rare case of overall goodness, an opinion that is fervently opposed by my fellow classmates and schoolmates, which I believe is the last string holding them to the norm and respected definition of a normal student body. Now, to this I complain. Why couldn't this be a normal school with everyone hating each other? The answer came to me on a sleepy day in English when my happy-to-be-teaching teacher, talking to us, I was supposed to be taking notes or something. I picked out the phrase, because we're Cal Prep, because we're a charter, and rolled it around in my head for a bit. Since I was tired and very at home in my cloud 9, my epiphany came slowly. To be or not to be, Shakespeare wrote, I choose to be. I choose to be a student. I choose to learn. I choose to be mad or happy or sad. I choose to say that the standard for normal schools is Cal Prep and Aspire and every charter school. I choose to say Aspire is and should always be the norm. More importantly, I choose to be me and give all I have to my community. Truly and honestly yours, Aurora. I think Aurora is writing to every one of us. I think Aurora is writing to every one of us. You have Auroras in your school. And you know what? Aurora and every one of the kids we serve every day is betting on us for their futures, which I think is a very, very wise decision. Thank you for all you do. Stay the course. Keep the momentum.